During its first few days in theaters, Avengers Endgame garnered an audience of over 100 million people, with it selling an estimated 350 million tickets over its theatrical run. People were excited, wearing costumes of their favorite superheroes, standing up, shouting, and clapping during climactic and epic moments. It was a massive pop culture moment, and anyone who experienced the peak of Marvel's cultural reach several years ago remembers how it felt to be a part of cinematic and cultural history. While it's not a masterpiece by any means, and there are certainly better movies out there, it is generally a trend that action-packed movies bring in the crowds. But why is that? I think a large part of the reason is people want to engage with a story where a big, strong person beats up the enemy in a fight. You can take most of these movies I showed you and boil them down to that. People want superheroes.
Folks need heroes, Chief.
This isn't a modern phenomenon either. This story of the big, strong superhero defeating his enemies in battle has been popular since the dawn of time. And one of the first examples we have of this kind of story is in Homer's Iliad. The Iliad is a story about a war fought between the Greeks and Trojans thousands of years ago before the walls of the Trojan city of Troy. On one side, there are Greek heroes, namely Achilles, the main character, kings Agamemnon and Menelaus, Odysseus, famous for his own sequel, The Odyssey, Nestor, and Achilles' friend Patroclus. These heroes perform godlike feats on the battlefield, smashing spears through shields, hurling javelins inhuman distances with deadly accuracy, and seemingly rarely getting tired despite hours and hours of fighting. Yet, unlike a typical superhero movie, with the heroes on one side and the villains on the other, the Trojans are also oftentimes depicted as brave heroes. The chief of them is Hector, who could only be rivaled by Achilles in combat, but there is also Aeneas, who gets his own story in the Aeneid, Paris, Sarpedon, and Glaucus. These heroes accomplish amazing things on the battlefield and often risk their lives to save others. And I think this plays into why the Iliad is so beloved even after so many years. Whether you favor the Trojans or the Greeks, you're going to enjoy seeing the people you root for winning glory on the battlefield. Most of the book is simply just fighting. Spears and swords clashing, arrows whizzing by, armor rattling, blood and brains everywhere. When a hero dies, there is always a bitter fight to recover the body and the armor on the body. It creates this tense tug of war where the dead hero's comrades fight to take their friend back to his home and bury him with honors, while the enemy wants to plunder the dead man's armor so they can add to their own glory. I haven't even mentioned the Greek gods Zeus, Hera, Athena, Ares, and more all drop down into the battle and either take part directly or influence heroes to accomplish different goals. Some gods favor the Greeks, while others favor the Trojans. So while the battle rages below, we also see a sort of mirror in the heavens, casting this conflict as cosmic in nature. This is where I personally enjoyed the story the most. Homer describing a regular human battle and then inserting the war god Ares or Apollo or some other coming down in the flesh to fight personally made the story seem so exciting, and it happens many times throughout. But the Iliad was more than just the ancient Greek equivalent to a Marvel movie for the people who heard it thousands of years ago. For many people, this story was one about their ancestors, and how they could boast about how their great-great-granddaddy fought at Troy alongside or against someone like Achilles. Many times in the fighting, the heroes will stop and exchange long, dramatic monologues about their lineage and how they're nobly or even divinely born, and this is why they will win glory for themselves. If a character dies, the author Homer will often tell you where that man was from, what he made his living from, whose son he was, and who would miss him now that he was gone. People took great pride in this story, and it was massively important to the founding mythos of ancient Greek cities and ancient Greek kings. Take Alexander the Great, for example. He claimed lineage from both the hero Achilles as well as the god Zeus himself, and this was his claim to legitimacy and why he should conquer the whole world. As he conquered cities and decimated populations, He is noted by his fellow men as keeping a copy of the story, the Iliad, under his pillow for nighttime reading. He motivated himself to keep fighting by reading the story of people like Achilles and Hector fighting a war for 10 years. A story that is made up like the Iliad can still have real-world implications. But thousands of years later, why do we still care? Well, on one level, like I said earlier, we love a story about heroes punching the bad guys. We love even more when that story is about heroes punching other heroes. Much of the Iliad is dumb fun if you consider men stabbing and slicing each other to bits fun. On another level, you could say that a story about people winning glory for themselves and cementing their name in history is something that still resonates today. People want to leave a legacy behind, and the Iliad is full of characters like that, even if the vast majority of those characters never existed in the way that we imagine them. The Iliad is a story that magnifies war and glory hunting, accomplishing great athletic and martial feats. As much as our culture despises war, we still love to watch movies and read stories about it, so there's clearly something in those stories that speaks to what we as humans enjoy. It's not a complicated story. Two sides fight, plenty of people die, there are winners and there are losers. Do you root for the Greeks? Do you root for the Trojans? Do you watch as a neutral observer? I think the poll to the reader as to which side they should cheer on is a big part of why the story is compelling. Is it a story that glorifies war with its fantastic battlefield descriptions? Or is it perhaps trying to convey the horrors of man's inhumanity to man? It's up to the reader to make up their own mind as to what the story is trying to get across. Regardless, I found the Iliad to be a fun read, even if it did never get to the famous Trojan horse. Yeah, imagine my disappointment when there's only a few pages left in the book and there's no big wooden horse in sight. Anyways, I guess I'll just have to read the Odyssey for that? Maybe? Oh well. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this brief rundown of the Iliad and why it's still a much-loved story thousands of years later. Next up, in anticipation of the release of Christopher Nolan's rendition of the Odyssey, I'm going to be talking about why the Odyssey still matters to us today. If you liked the video, consider giving the video a like and hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for my next video on the Odyssey. This is Max with the Classics, hoping you can avoid your enemy's spears and wishing you a wonderful day.